then you hold on to it and pop it that way. If you don't know how to, okay, guys, just listen. If you don't know how to tie it, just hold on to the end of it and try to break it that way. If 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There's a lot of talking going on and not a lot of listening. Listen, please. Listen up. My gosh, there's a lot of chatter tonight. Just listen. If you don't know how to tie it, hold on to it so the air doesn't come out and try to break it that way. If you end up letting the air out, then you have to blow your balloon back up again. Okay? So if I can have one person from each group come up and grab a bag of balloons, please. Just one person. And there you go. Okay, go ahead and take the balloons out, give them to each person. You have to sit on it to pop it. Okay, you need to be ready in 5 seconds, and when I count down to 5, I'm going to say go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First person blow out the balloon. There's only one person blowing a balloon right now. Blow it up, tie it, and pop it. We got one. Keep going, keep going. That was a loud one. Nope, you can't use a pen. 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 Oh my gosh. You got all 5? Okay, Christine's group won. They got all 5. What I'd like for you to do, Cam got second. We got second. First is Christine's group. Second was Matt's group. I can't hear you. You stood up a while. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't see you guys. So first was Vivian and okay. Now what I need for all of you to do before I introduce our speaker tonight is pick up all the balloon pieces, put them back into the Ziploc bag. That's for something else. So I'm going to count down from 15. Once I count down from 15, should have all of the balloon pieces picked up and throw them back into your Ziploc bag. 15, 14, 13, 12, just throw them in the garbage. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. We have a special guest tonight with us who's going to be teaching you in large group tonight. Her name is Mary Darnell. She's been with our church for a number of years, and we're very happy to be here tonight. She's going to make it engaging for you, and I think she even brought you some little goodies if you're good with listening and paying attention to her. So let's give a round of applause to Mary Darnell.
Awesome. All right, guys, so my name is Mary. Like Jared said, I've been coming to LOC for a little bit, and I've never done this before, and I'm super excited to hang out with you all. I hear you guys are talking about a topic called Into the Unknown, right? Right? Hands, anybody? Okay. Does anyone want to tell me a little bit about it, like what you've been learning or any takeaways you've gotten so far? I have candy. 3 pounds of candy.
3 pounds?
Yes. All right, what have you been learning?
I've learned that if we do things we don't know what it's going to be like, we might like it.
Yeah. So like change, right? Some different changes in your life. What about you? Yes, I love it. How about you? Things you can't predict. Yes. How about you? So kind of what you want to become. Yeah. How about you? Yes, I love it. Those are good answers. You guys should be teaching this, not me. Those are some good ones. All right, so like you said, going into the unknown kind of has to do with change, right? And like a lot of you said, we don't always know what's going to happen, and we're not in control of it, right? So this means walking through the unknown is something that we don't have control over. Whether these unknowns are considered good ones or bad ones, like I'm sure many of us have experienced, they're uncertainties. Are you sure? Okay. Well, awesome. So whether they're good or bad, everybody's going to go through some different changes and unknown experiences, right? So as middle schoolers, I'm sure all of you have gone through many, many changes so far, right? So what I think we're going to do before we dive into it is the sticky note game. Yeah? All right, so while we're getting those together, I'll just kind of explain it really quick. So what we're going to do is you guys are going to get some sticky notes, okay? Sticky notes and a pen. What you're going to do is write down some different changes middle schoolers go through. You're going to write down one change, and we're going to be sticking them to the wall so we can take a look at them, okay? Just some changes that you go through in middle school. Yeah, of course. So what you guys are going to do, all right, so what you're going to do on your sticky note is you're going to write down a change you go through in middle school. So just one change or one uncertain event that you have gone through in middle school. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick them on, does it matter which wall? We'll stick them on this wall over here. Okay? So yeah, write down your change and go stick it on the wall. Over here. All right. Does everyone put their sticky note up? Anyone still working? All right, guys. So just from looking at some of those, you all put a lot of different changes on there. A lot of different things that middle schoolers go through, right? So what I saw from just looking on there, I saw some different changes going on maybe at home, at school, with friends, sports teams, different things like that. So we can tell from this wall alone how many different challenges you guys go through or different unknown experiences you have to go through. So that means what? It's something we have to deal with, right? Something that we can't avoid. So it's important through this series to learn some different tools to overcome those or work with those, right? Since you guys have proved you've already gone through so many different challenges and unknown experiences, right? All right. So I think that we all can agree that we're going to go through changes whether they are good changes or bad changes, right? So, and some of them aren't always easy. Some of the maybe more positive changes you could go through is, say, you know, your parent gets remarried, right? And you have a really cool new step-parent. But the hard part to that is maybe adapting to them living with you. That can be a challenge, right? Or let's say last year you were, on the starting lineup for your baseball team. And this year you're the captain, right? That's a really cool thing. That's a good challenge, right? Yeah? That's okay. They're challenge. It's a challenge to stick on there too, you know what I mean? So that's kind of a big deal, right? But the challenge with that is now you have a lot more pressure, right? And you have this pressure to lead your team on, which can be a challenge. Or let's say, has anyone moved here recently? Anybody? Yeah? How about the last couple years? Anybody move? Yeah, that was a challenge, right? That's a big challenge. You're coming into a new place, unknown, but it's kind of cool because you get the chance to make some new friends and see a new school and have a cool new house, right? But these are just some of the positive changes, right? But we all agreed that some changes can be difficult. So what does that mean? These difficult changes might be things that we don't want to happen, right? Or that we want things to go back to the way that they were, but no matter how hard we try, we can't, right? Some of these changes could be maybe your parents separate, right? And you hope they won't get divorced, but unfortunately they do. And no matter how hard you try, or that they try, they can't get back together. That's a tough challenge, right? Or let's say last year you were captain of the basketball team, but this year your coach picks someone else. That's a hard challenge, right? Or let's say, I know some of you moved here, maybe you didn't want to move here, right? You're being forced to go to a new school, a new house, that can be really tough. That's a tough challenge. Or something I know I've done, failed a test. You can't go back and fix the test. You know, that's a difficult challenge. So when something changes in the way we don't want it to, sometimes it can feel a lot like our life has fallen apart, right? You guys agree? You know, you're going through some hard challenges. It just feels like you have no control. Does anyone agree? I know that's how I feel, at least, right? I find myself saying, I just want things to go back to the way that they were, right? You guys said that to yourself? Yeah? Awesome. But what I've learned is that a lot of the times that's not possible, right? Sometimes going into the unknown means whatever it feels like can't be fixed. It can leave us feeling sad, angry, frustrated, maybe even helpless, right? So when you're going through changes like that, sometimes it feels like nothing else can be done, right? Maybe you've even wondered, why hasn't God fixed this yet? Or maybe, why is this happening? And honestly, now you just feel frustrated at the situation, maybe frustrated with God, a little disappointed, right? But God doesn't promise to fix the situation, but he promises us something else that is pretty cool. When you're going through changes like this, like we said, nothing can be done. When we can be frustrated with God, right? But what God promises us is that he's going to be with us through these challenges. So has anyone ever felt like that? You don't have to raise your hand, but just think about that. You're in this really tough situation at school with friends, and you just want things to go back to the way that they are. You're confused, right? It can be tough. That's why it's so important for us to know that God hasn't promised to change everything. But God has promised something else. That something else is something I think we could take with us, and it's a pretty cool promise. So, before we go further, I want you guys to take a look at this.
Hey, sweetie. Sorry I got home so late. I had to pick something up after work. It's such a beautiful day outside. You should let some sun inside. So, is it better? Why don't you stop playing and open the present I got for you? Hello? Oh, yes, sir. I don't know why you didn't get the papers. I put them on your desk before I left.
Okay. Whoa! Cool! She's gotta be kidding me. Get lost!
All right, so I don't know about you guys, but first time I saw that video, I almost cried. It's a pretty cute puppy. But what do you guys think the boys' challenge in that video was? Yes?
That he got the puppy, and then when he noticed they didn't have a leg and he didn't have one, then he's like, his challenge is probably not having a leg.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So the video showed, we have unknowns in our lives, right? But when we trust in God, we find a way to cope and learn, just like the boy was able to with the puppy, right? So this is easy to see in the video, right? You see his challenge, you see how God may present himself, in gifts like the puppy for him to learn and cope with the challenge he's been given, right? But how do we see that in our own lives? When we're in the middle of an unknown challenge and we're trying hard to remember that God is with us, but it can be hard, right? Do you guys agree? Maybe? I know, at least for myself, I get wrapped up in it can be hard to tell that God's there, right? So I want to read you guys a little scripture. And I want you guys to listen to what it's saying, and maybe you'll see something in here that sticks out. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. Does anyone notice anything in there? Yes. God will always be there with you. Yes. Anybody else see anything in there? If not, that's okay. So, something that sticks out to me is that word when, right? Well, what's so special about it? When you pass through the waters, when you pass through the rivers, when you walk through the fire. God's telling us not if, but when. This stuff is going to happen. That's a guarantee, right? Things are going to change. We're going to experience the unknown. We're going to find ourselves in these circumstances. And that's a guarantee. He's telling us that we're going to go through these challenges, right? So what God also guarantees, though, is that he promises to be with us through it. And because of that promise, we can go confidently in whatever challenges are presented to us. Now, I don't know if that's the type of promise you were hoping from God. I know we were talking about before, we just want things to go back to the way that they were, right? And honestly, sometimes I kind of wish God said something else too. Does anyone else agree? Kind of wish things would just go back? Yeah? So, even though God doesn't tell us that he's going to fix our issues, he's going to be with us through them, right? So, I don't know about you guys, but that's a pretty cool promise too, right? That no matter what we're going through, we're not going through it alone. We have the best person there with us, right? This makes me think, why isn't God just fixing the challenge in our life, right? That's kind of what I thought he's supposed to do sometimes, right? Just fix it. But it makes me think that God knows something we don't, right? So, let's take an astronaut, for example. Jared, do you mind? I'm sorry. Have you guys seen this before? Yeah? A little too many times? All right. Well, I promise you this time it's going to mean something a little different, okay? So let's take Jared, our astronaut, for example, right? If we just throw Jared in space, what's going to happen? Bye, Jared. He's just floating away, right? Exactly. I don't know about you guys, but I hear there might be aliens up there. I don't want to mess with it. I wouldn't want to be Jared floating around in there, right? So, instead, astronauts are attached to the spaceship with a cord, right? Kind of like in this picture. You see that cord? It's attached to the spaceship, right? So he doesn't float away. So that's kind of what God's doing for us, right? He's with us always. We may not be able to see that cord with God, but he's always there with us. He's always attached to us, making us feel safe and secure. And better yet, not alone. You're good. So this is exactly what God's doing for us, right? When we go into the unknown, God is with us, just like the spaceship for the astronaut. God will keep us safe and not alone. When change happens, God, who never changes, is with us. Again, we may not be able to see that literal cord, but God's connected to us in a way that is beyond what we can see and is a lot more special. God never leaves us, and that includes when we're experiencing all these different kinds of changes. You guys have proved already, even though they fell, how many changes you go through in middle school. So that's what I want you guys to take away from today. That God goes with us into the unknown. That no matter what's going on or what's happening at home, no matter how hurt you feel from your friend, or no matter how sad you are because life can't go back to the way it was, God goes with you into the unknown. And if you think about it, that's a pretty amazing promise, right? You guys think so? You have someone with you all the time? Definitely. Because I know at least when I'm hurting, that's something I rely on a lot. Sometimes just knowing you're not alone, going through the different challenges you're facing, is enough to help you get through those things. And if that someone is God, what's better than that? Who's bigger than that? No one. And that's pretty cool. So what do we do, right? Since we know change is going to happen, it's a guarantee, right? When it happens, not if. How can we take heart and know that God is with us in those hard times? Well, I think that means we must make some decisions today, right? We got to get some tools to help us. So I think first, we must make the decision to trust God in the middle of the unknown, right? We have to trust that God is with us through the uncertainty of change. We have to choose to believe over and over that he is with us. Maybe for you, that means saying it out loud. I know you guys don't drive yet, but I've seen people talk to themselves in the car, like, God is with me. Maybe it's when you're getting dressed in the morning, you're in front of the mirror. Just saying that out loud might help you remember that. Or it could be writing it down. I have a prayer journal. I don't know if anyone else does, but I like to just write that down in there because it's a nice reminder that I'm not alone. Sometimes when you're going through those challenges, it's hard to remember that. So seeing it might help you. Or something else you could do is memorize the scripture we learned today. Maybe that little message will help remind you you're not alone. Whatever this looks like for you, whatever is going to make you remember and spark that you're not alone, we have to make the choice to do that. Make the choice to believe and remember that God goes with us into the unknown. The second one is act like God's with you, right? Oh. That's okay. They're all good ones, so they're all number one in my book. So, all right. So, the second number one, right, is act like God's with you. We've said this over and over again, and I know you guys are busy in middle school. It's easy to get distracted and forget that, right? Like, how many of us are in sports? That's a lot. How many of you guys are in clubs? Yeah. That's hard. You're busy, right? So it's hard to remember that God's with us, right? But God couldn't be any closer. God's Spirit lives inside of us. We know that, right? We don't remember it all the time, but we know that. So that means you can talk to God all of the time about anything. You can tell him what you're worrying about. You can ask him for some help and guidance. If you're having a hard time remembering that God is with you, try and remind yourself that God's there and you're not alone. Make the decision, the conscious decision to act like God is with you. All right, the third number one, right, is change how you respond to change. We can't always control the things that happen to us, right? I know you guys have put all those on there. You probably didn't choose those things. We can't control or stop what's coming for us, what changes are going to come our way. But we can control how we react to them, right? Instead of shutting down, we can choose to open up to a friend or even a small group leader. You guys have such great small groups here. Instead of giving up when faced with these unknowns or these challenges, we can choose to believe that there is more, that there's more in our stories, because I promise you there is. Even if you can't see it and you're wondering why God has put this challenge in your life, there's a reason. So we can choose to believe that God goes with us into the unknown. I've seen so many times how God has placed certain people in others' lives. If you think about it, your small group, right? There's a reason you were grouped together with the people in your group, right? Your small group is here to support you, encourage you, and stay with you through all of your life's unknowns. In the good, the bad, they're a group of friends that can help you walk through those challenges. And remember that God is with you. So, speaking of small groups, as you guys go into your small groups today, I really want you to focus on how you feel about change. You know, you wrote them down, you heard some different things today, so really think about how you feel about it. And that's all I got for you. And a bunch of candy, so come take some candy. Want some candy? Yeah?
Okay,
Take
before
a
we go,
handful.
we have a couple of announcements that we need to go over. So
As long as there's enough for people.
while you're grabbing your candy,
Some candy? Oh, yeah, of course, I'm sorry.
okay, our announcers. Our announcements for this week are students who come in late into small group, please make sure you check in with somebody with Kim or with admin so we make sure you're here. Guys, listen please. Listen. She's going to come to
Listen.
the quiet groups first. There we go. We also have our food drive going on. Remember where our food drive is, where it's Faithland and Awana against Annex and or against Path and Summit. We already have some donations there in the back. We'll take them through next week as well. So please bring those in so that we can get those to our needy families this holiday. Yeah. Kim, did you want to talk about worship reflections or just that they need to be doing them? And if you're going out of town for the holidays, you're going to grandma and grandpa's, and you go to church at grandma and grandpa's church, you can do them there as well. So there's plenty of opportunities for you to get these done. So make sure you make it a priority when you're here on the weekends. So how much time do we have? Okay. I just want to say thank you to those who came here on Saturday to make our ornaments for the angel tree. You guys did an awesome job. We got the stocking caps made and also the glitter ornaments done that will be put on the angel tree next week before the Thanksgiving Eve service. So if you were one of those people that were here, just kind of raise your hand up. If you're one of the people who are here making, there are quite a few of you, so put your hands up in the air if you were here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys did an awesome job. So, like Kim said, there's a couple of different services coming up. Next week we still will have Path as usual, but the weekend after that is the Thanksgiving Eve service in Pie Fest. So if you'd like to sign up to work the Pie Fest, that could go towards some of your service hours that you're doing this year. They would contact Jenny Tackett Irwin or no? There'll be a sign out coming out, so you can sign up to either help with setup, cleanup, or whatever it is. But those could be on there. Now, some of the kids who were here on Saturday did a great job of bringing up their service sheet for me to sign on that. Remember, it's just that chart that you have this year, so make sure you're doing that. There were quite a few kids that also came up to me that didn't put in their time if they did a serve on the Path Bash. The serve on the Path Bash does count. So leaders, you may want to check with your kids tonight to see if they, if they attended the Path Bash and they did a serving with you that afternoon, that they get credit for that as well. Okay? What kind of night? It has to be somebody who doesn't normally come. So. Okay, don't forget about your question of the week when you go into small group tonight, and enjoy your week, guys. We'll see you here next Wednesday.